Hello, hello. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to wait till the end of some of the contests that they have. I know right now we have the convention contest going on, and I feel like in some of the seasons I have gone through and waited till like the last month or the last week, honestly, of some of them. And then I'm like, oh shoot, and trying to kind of rush through to get and earn some of the credits. So I feel like I wanted to kind of get back into the habit of doing some of these power hours, um, and really kind of planning out and being able to kind of watch those points roll in. I'm focused on trying to do two people per month, whether they're business builders, whether they're focused on just the products. But that's kind of what I'm driving towards, is really aiming towards at least two people a month. Obviously, it'll fluctuate some months, if I do more or less. But anyway, thanks for taking the time. Really investing in yourself. It's the accountability and the structure for me. I feel like if I have the time set, then I'm more likely to kind of dive in and actually get the work done. So um, I heard this next little like snippet thing that I want to read to you guys on another Zoom call, and I wanted to share it because it was just kind of interesting. So this isn't luck, it's blood, sweat, and tears. It's the early mornings, it's the late nights, it's behind the scenes work that no one else sees. It's running numbers in your back office, some days all day long. It's lots of posts, it's lots of stories, it's hopping on those Zoom calls and inviting others over and over again. It's the pink parties, the messenger events. Sometimes you'll be in seasons where you have so many going that you kind of lose track of even which ones are which. It's working in, a loud, chaotic house, but it's also working while everyone's asleep. It's making those sacrifices for all the extra stuff and wanting it more for others than even for yourself. It's building belief and vision casting in others, even when yours may be wavering. And it's treating this like a job and not like a side hustle. So it's never, ever, ever giving up. So that's just a little snippet that I heard in another Zoom, and I wanted to share it because I feel like a lot of times we have huge dreams, at least I know I do, but sometimes our work ethic isn't always at the same place and it doesn't always line up. And I've noticed that for myself that, honestly, we can put in as much or as little as we want. And sometimes I find myself that I'm not really where I want to be. So I look at this list and I kind of recognize, well, maybe I'm only doing 20% of this list. And so I kind of go back and it's more of like a check into myself and really stepping into my potential or our potential. Because I feel like even busy people, they find the time to make things happen and they find the time to make the things happen that are important to them. So, maybe I can time block better and plan and really lay out the things that I want to get done this week. So, we hold the pedal or the power to our own gas pedal. Some of us maybe need to increase the activities like the IPA activities, which I'll kind of go through some of those today. Some of us, maybe it's more personal growth and really investing in ourselves, but it's kind of a question. What are you willing to do and how do you want to get there? And I feel like that, kind of strikes me as well as really focusing on myself and what do I want to put in. So no matter where you're at, I'm going to show there's a 9-minute video that I'm going to show, and I'll share my screen here in a minute. But honestly, this really can apply to anyone. And I really like the simplicity of it. So I wanted to kind of start with this before we dive into a couple other activities. But I feel like this video, not only is it simple, but it also spans anywhere, no matter where you are in your business. And so I'll switch over to that. But it really kind of walked through, let me go ahead and share my screen here. It really kind of walks through um the different components of not only like how to earn money, but I also like that even if someone's a new business builder, they could start out with this. And that's what I feel like was really meaningful to me. So I will go ahead and let this play. And if you guys want to follow along with her as well, and she'll walk you through like making a few lists. And if you want to follow along as she goes through it, I will do the same as well. So can you guys hear that? Let me see. I don't know if the sound will come through. I don't know. Is there a trick to get the sound here? Let's see. Is it not? Hmm.
Is your volume up?
Is that better? Can you hear that at all?
Try it again.
Let me turn this all the way up. Okay, my volume's all the way up. Let me see.
It's lagging. I can hear just a little, but it's lagging.
Okay. So maybe I'll just post the link then, I guess was what I'll do
Yeah.
because I don't know if it's also because I'm in the car, which probably doesn't help with trying to like share on Zoom and share on this. But I'll post the link to this so we can watch it after. Let me go ahead and I'll just stop sharing. I'll go back on my video. So basically, at a high level, I'll kind of explain, like she calls it the napkin math. And it's really interesting because she does like the simplest of simple kind of explanations, and she basically has you go through and start with a list of 10. And I know many of you have probably started, whether you started your business, what like I said, kind of whatever point you are within your business. Even myself, when I was going to kind of go through this exercise with you guys this morning or afternoon, I was going to make a list, my 10 people. So I've been in this business for multiple years now, but my list of 10 people were not only people who maybe haven't joined me yet, but even possibly like current VIPs on my team who maybe I did or feel like I've done kind of a disservice to. So kind of talking through like maybe how I can fill their bubbles or who are three people that they could invite to do this with us. And getting that cost, I'm sure you've heard it, getting the cost of their products paid for. So there's probably numerous people on your teams or numerous people even in your Facebook group, friends, anyone that you can kind of think through. But the way that she kind of starts out is more aimed towards a brand new person, kind of starting on the products. So she's really talking about, those 10 people that maybe it's funny because she explains like who you would sell dirt to, like literally anybody that would join you to do whatever you're doing. It doesn't matter if you're selling dirt, it doesn't matter if you're selling luxury items. Her whole point is that write down 10 people. And like I said, it's kind of more aimed, her explanation is kind of more aimed at people starting out kind of fresh in the business. But and that's why I kind of turned it a little bit depending on what point you're at in your business of the 10 people that you want to write down. So mine were probably mainly going to be 10 VIPs that I currently have on my team who maybe haven't shared, or even if they maybe have shared, even if it's like one post. I'm sure you've probably heard, some people have shared like one post and then it didn't work for me kind of thing. I wasn't able to get anyone to join me. It didn't work. And so maybe they're still taking their products, still loving the products, but those are people that I was going to write on my list. So let's take 5 minutes right now, write down 10 people on your list. And then once you have those 10 people, she immediately had you narrow down to five. So like cutting out like the five people that you would go to first. So I'll go ahead and mute for just a minute. I'm going to write down my 10 and then I'll come back on. Okay, so I'll give you guys another like minute or so here. And then I will kind of go into so for now, just try and get your list of 10. And then have what you can do is even just I'll kind of show you here is then like check mark. Um, so I don't know if you can see that, but so basically I've got like my numbers 1 through 10, and then I check mark my 5 that I want to do like this week, like that I want to actually reach out to and talk to this week. So this basically, like I said, top 10, whether you do it of your current VIPs, kind of take it on the approach that you want to based off of where you're at in your business. But I took it as kind of a mix. So I have a few that are current VIPs who maybe haven't shared at all. And then I also have some new ones who are not taking the Plexus products at all. So I have a mix on my list, but then I check mark the ones that I want to um, actually reach out to and talk to this week. So then I don't know if you can see kind of this little bubble that I started to draw over here, but basically then you can kind of draw, and I didn't put the names in here yet, but basically then you can kind of draw. I'm a visual person, so for me, I drew out like I'm in the center, and then it's kind of this spider web type of thing. And to be honest, this is actually one of the best explanations, and I'll send you the link to the video, but she does a really good explanation too for like newbies. I feel like it really kind of walks through and it makes it sound so simple um, that literally anyone can do it. And it's really just the same concept of each person getting 3. But when she's talking about those 5 people on your list and each of those getting 3, you're at gold. So that kind of, struck home for me is like getting back to a place of really, I didn't finish drawing it out, but basically each of these would each have kind of those 3 lines. And then it's kind of the same concept of teaching them to then do the same. So um just going back to kind of basics, I guess, is the way that I kind of look at it, and that's kind of how I kind of circled back. So anyway, she goes into a little bit more detail, so we can kind of go through that too, but basically the thought is that you have your list of 10, you have your 5 checked off that you want to reach out to this week, and it's basically, it depends, the message that you'd be sending them is really dependent on where they're at. So whether, for my list, like I said, our current VIPs, for some of them that I'd be reaching out to, the message is going to differ a little bit from the ones that I'd be sending to someone who's brand new in the business or brand new with the products or the business. So a couple other things that I wanted to kind of go through today. I will send a few message examples too for this. I won't go ahead and read stuff off today, but I will, let me make a note here. I will send a few message examples for these to reach out, and then I will also send the link to that video. And then a couple other things that I wanted to talk about today were also from a social media perspective. Um, one being kind of on the same tone of reach outs. So whether you want to make a list, I personally, so I have a different approach on some of my reach outs, but the way that I do, at least just to kind of get in contact. So the way that the algorithm works too, I'm sure some of you have heard that basically the more that either you're commenting on your posts or reaching out directly in DMs, it's going to show your content or their content to you more. And I've seen this firsthand. Like I'll go and I'll DM someone like an actual meaningful message and like questions and like something about, whether they posted recently or how their kids are doing. And then literally like either that day or the next day, I start seeing them in my feed. Like I start seeing their posts who maybe I haven't even talked to them in years, but I start seeing their stuff again in my feed. So it's a direct correlation that whatever you're either commenting back on, you want to make sure that your comments are meaningful, whether you're asking more questions to get your comments and the engagement up. But the couple of things that I want to talk about next are kind of in relation to that. So number one is work on an engaging post. So there's kind of 2 parts to this. So the first part is the actual content of the post. So a couple of ideas that I was thinking about doing is like, what is your average grocery bill each week? So it's just kind of something, and it doesn't have to be Plexus related, but it's just kind of something to get the engagement up, get the comments. Another one is maybe I wanted to ask, like, how many streams of income does your family have? And although that is slightly related to my Plexus business, it's not directly related per se. It's not flat out asking about Plexus, but it is slightly related. So you can even ask, like, what's your favorite movie lately? Or what's a movie you've seen in the theaters? Or I don't know. I mean, you can literally ask anything that you feel people would be prone to comment on. And I feel like that would probably be the best for the engaging post. In relation to that, you also want to make sure that you're active in your stories so that when people are commenting, if they click on your profile or click on your stories, you want them to then go and see your stories, whether it's about just daily mom life or daily life, or whether it's, a slide or two about Plexus. That's where they'll start seeing stuff, not necessarily on the engaging post. You can also kind of take things out of that engaging post and even go into your DMs then and just start up a conversation. So it all kind of is related, but you also want to make sure that like someone doesn't have to like scroll back 3 weeks to see a Plexus post after you do that engaging post. Like you want to make sure that your content is also relevant. So whether you do maybe a Plexus post this week, something super simple, it doesn't have to be, like really in depth, or whether you want to do in your stories, but make sure that you kind of have that active before you go and do the engaging post. Because then once you get all of those comments rolling in, that's what will bring people to your feed. And then your posts are going to start showing up in their feed. So I don't know if you've also noticed too, I feel like Facebook especially will show me posts from like 2 weeks ago. Like when I start chatting with someone and then it'll pop up and I like something and it's like, hey, that's from January 31st. And I'm like, why am I seeing something all of a sudden from January 31st? But it's like pulling, I don't know exactly how the algorithm works, but it's pulling in then who you're talking to recently, and it's showing you what they think you want to see. So the same thing with your community, they are going to start seeing your last like recent posts. I don't know how far back it goes, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your stuff is active before and you're posting at least a few before then you start doing those engaging posts. So the other piece of that is I also consistently do happy birthdays. I know a lot of people write happy birthday on people's walls, like on the actual Facebook wall. I personally always get into their DMs and I message them directly. I usually try and also stem off from that. And I do, sometimes I'll offer people a sample. I have like a happy birthday message. So it depends on if you want to send samples and offer samples. I do it to some people just as like a happy birthday, kind of like a birthday message, I guess you could say. And then, or you can just kind of take a spin on it and just say, did you do anything special for your birthday this year? Or how are you celebrating? It's really just, again, getting that engagement, getting that conversation, because then they might go back and check out your stories and see what you've been up to, just out of curiosity. So it's kind of the same thing. Make sure your last few posts over the last like week or so and your stories are up to date before you kind of start. But um, another thing too that I personally do if I don't have time to maybe do like all of the birthdays. I know you may have noticed that the birthdays in Facebook, they fall off. So you only see like the last like I don't know 3 days or something of birthdays. So I actually take screenshots. So if I don't have time to like sit down and message people, I'll do screenshots of like whose birthdays are in February, and I'll just take screenshots of those. So then maybe in a week when I do have time to like sit down and message people, I can sit down and use those screenshots to then go back and message those people, because otherwise you have no way of seeing like whose birthday was like a week ago. It disappears. So that's just my way. Some people like to keep up with it ongoing. It depends on how many birthdays you have. Some months I feel like there's a ton of birthdays. Other months there's not as many. So it just kind of depends. But um okay, I know we only have a couple minutes left. So one other thing that I do want to at least mention in regards to posting as well is I read a book recently called Don't Make It Weird. And I feel like one of her concepts in her book is really talking about don't make sharing weird, and not even in the sense of your business, but in the sense of everything. So whether you buy a pair of jeans and you love them and you share about them, you aren't making any money off of those sales of those jeans, but it's just the concept of people will value your opinion. Say they go out and buy those jeans and they love them. Now they're going to value your opinion and they're going to value what you're sharing about, even though you're making no money off of that. And then when you slip in a post about sharing your pink drink, it's going to come off as just natural to them because you already shared about jewelry or jeans or makeup or I don't know, your favorite cup or like whatever you're sharing about. They're not going to think it's anything different than all of those other pieces that you're sharing about. Um, so it's not going to seem like as weird as if you just like come out and like you're selling something. It's going to come off to them as just sharing another product that you love. So I thought that was really interesting because I've been trying to kind of do that more. I know people have, whether they're all those Amazon lists, um, however you want to share different stuff, but there's lots of different ways you can link stuff. On some of my stories, I've done that before where I'll link, like an Amazon product, if it's something specific, but I think that is everything in a nutshell that I wanted to share today. I'm hoping to do these weekly, so I will go into more depth on some of them as well. But I feel like some of these concepts are also just IPA items that you can kind of do ongoing. They're kind of a rolling effect for me in my business, and I'm kind of always doing one piece of them. Don't feel like you have to do everything every day. I know some people do, and like I kind of said in the beginning of the call, it just depends. You can put in as much or as little as you want to this business, which is what I really love the most because it's kind of up to you. So, however much time you have during the day, but it also goes back to that list that I shared too in the beginning. Some days I'm doing literally like 5% of that list. Other days, maybe I'm doing 80% if I'm trying to like really push for a rank up or something. So it just depends on what you want to put in and where you're at in your business. So I think that's everything. Thank you for jumping on. I hope this was helpful. I'll process this recording. I'm going to post it on my YouTube channel. But otherwise, I will talk to you guys later.